Alright, what's up, everybody? Back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today, we're talking about yesterday's game 6 between the Celtics Heat Eastern Conference Finals. The best game of the playoffs so far, without a doubt. I feel like best game of the playoffs. The intensity, the shots, that big play, everything was just amazing. Beautiful game to watch. And yeah, we're gonna get all into it, talk about it, all of it. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you like the content around here, consider subscribing, turn notifications, all stuff like that. I really appreciate it. Really upset a lot. Looking at the analytics, about a little bit less than 1% of you that actually watch the videos are subscribed. So if you're watching, hit the subscribe. I really appreciate it. And yeah, let's not waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So last night, back in Miami, Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Again, the Miami Heat needing just one win to clinch their ticket to the NBA Finals, while the Celtics are trying to win another game in Miami and force a Game 7 after being down 3-0. The Heat make some changes. Gabe Vincent is back in this game after missing last game with an ankle injury. And they also put Caleb Martin in the starting lineup. Kevin Love doesn't even play in this game. Kevin Love usually plays about a few minutes, put about 10 to 15 minutes in games, but today they decided to sit him out completely. Caleb Martin, who's been arguably their best player in the conference final so far, starts. And we get into this game, and it's very kind of similar to the last game a little bit, where the Heat role players are really stepping up and doing good. Caleb Martin, just getting buckets. Caleb Martin, not even just spot up threes and get out in transition. He's actually like getting the ball in the wing and getting to the rim and getting buckets, like going to the rim and stuff. Very interesting to see. He starts off really good for Boston. They're not hitting threes, but they're just being aggressive. Jason Tatum being aggressive, Jaylen Brown being aggressive early. Those two being really aggressive. It's a very back and forth first quarter, but the Celtics lead 34-29 after a couple of threes from Derek White and Marcus Smart in there as well. We go to the second quarter, and again, it's still very back and forth. The Heat role players are playing amazing. Gabe Vincent starts hitting threes. Tucker Robinson coming off the bench hitting shots. But for Boston, Jason Tatum starts to get it going. Jason Tatum starts hitting tough, contested mid-range jumpers, step back mid-ranges, getting to the free throw line. He had an amazing first half, 25 points in the first half of this game for Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown was very solid, but it was kind of like two opposites. So the Celtics, Tatum and Brown, were doing great, but no one else was really hitting consistent shots. For Miami, the role players are doing great. Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, Kyle Lowry, even Tucker Robinson were hitting all the shots they could. Max Strus even hit a couple shots. But Jimmy and Bam were just having a rough one. Jimmy and Bam combined to shoot 4 for 17 in the first half of the game. Gabe Vincent hit 4 shots in the first half by himself. Bam and Jimmy combined for 4 for 17 shooting. Both were taking like the normal amount of shots they would take. They just weren't going in. And yet it was still only a 4-point game at halftime because no one else really was doing anything for Boston besides the Jays. And then we go to the third quarter. And the Heat start off aggressive. Bam is getting to the rim. The Heat start off aggressive. They get into the bonus with 9 minutes left in the third quarter. I thought, all right, Miami here is just going to go to the free throw line. Keep running up the free throw line. The thing is, they're attacking the paint, but Miami just could not buy a shot. I think the first 3 quarters, the Heat were shooting 9 for 41 from the paint. 9 for 41 from the paint is ridiculous. They were getting so many easy layups, they're just missing. Some of them were trying to get calls, so they just threw it up because they thought they were going to call it in. But a lot of them were just easy, like little hook shots, easy layups that they just were missing. And the Celtics were playing great defense without fouling. But the thing that I thought was going to come back and haunt the Celtics was that in that third quarter, when the Heat were missing all their shots, the Heat only scored 19 points in that third quarter. And Jimmy and Bam were having a rough one. They both just couldn't buy a shot. The Celtics did not take advantage. The Celtics were missing threes. The Celtics were turning the ball over. The Celtics were missing some easy ones. Jason Tatum didn't score in the third quarter. Jaylen Brown was in foul trouble. The Celtics only outscored Miami 22-19 in that third. And I thought about it, and the commentators, Reggie Miller and Stan Van Gundy, were saying it, and I was thinking it as well. I was like, dang, like Boston really should be up by like 15, 20 right now with all the shots Miami's missing and how bad Miami's playing. But the Celtics did not take advantage. And it was only a 7-point game going into the fourth quarter, which I thought was going to come back to haunt them. And then the shots started falling from Miami. Bam, starting to stop. Duncan Robinson is not even is just going to the rim, making passes, getting layups. He had a big 3-pointer with 8:41 left to make it a 1-point game, and then Jimmy came down the other end, made a tip-in layup to make it a 1-point lead for Miami, the first lead since early in the game. Celtics come back though, get to the free throw line. Miami just could not stop finding a lot of weird calls in this game. But Duncan Robinson hit another three, then he hit a layup to make it a 4-point game, and it was like, oh my god. Marcus Smart was also very, very good in this game. Hitting, there's like 2 or 3 times where he hit Caleb Martin with the pump fake, relocate, splash it. 3-pointer, and he was also driving to the rim. Celtics had a 10-point lead at one point with 4:56 left in this game, and they were up by 9 with 3 minutes left after Jason Tatum hit 2 free throws, and it kind of felt like, all right, this game might be over, but it wasn't. Gabe Vincent came down to the layup, and then Jimmy hits a corner 3-pointer after he was struggling to shoot all game. Jimmy hits a corner 3 to make it a 4-point game. Then he comes down, hits 1 out of 2 free throws, hits another layup to make it a 2-point game, and 1 actually to make it a 1-point game. And then we have the final few possessions where the Celtics just kind of got stagnant on offense. Celtics were just kind of trying to hold the ball out, hoping that time would just run out on them. Jason Tatum goes to the rim, gets blocked twice by Gabe Vincent and then by Bam. We come down the other end, and Duncan Robinson missed a big 3-pointer. He actually missed 2 big 3-pointers. He missed one earlier where Jimmy missed the second free throw, I want to say. Yeah, Jimmy missed the second free throw. Caleb Martin got the offensive rebound, gave it to Duncan Robinson. And Duncan Robinson, he hesitated. Instead of getting the ball and just catching and shooting, he caught it, looked around, took a dribble, and pulled. And from then on, as soon as he dribbled, I was like, he's missing the shot. Like, when you hesitate, like, I know from experience as well, where, like, when you hesitate on your jumper, it's not going in. Like, and I'm nowhere near level of Duncan Robinson, by the way. But Duncan Robinson, yeah, as soon as he hesitated, I was like, he's missing that shot. You can't think about it, hesitate. You just gotta grab it and pull. And then later in this game, 21 seconds left, the Heat, Bam gets the block and the rebound. They're pushing up court. And Duncan Robinson's wide open on the wing for 3. And no one's guarding him. He gets it, pulls it, and he misses. And I was like, I felt so bad because Duncan was doing good. Duncan was the reason why they got back in this game. Duncan was, like, amazing through the first 3.5 quarters until the last, like, 2 minutes where he missed 2 big 3-pointers that would have given Miami the lead. So they foul Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart misses the first, makes the second. And then we come down the other end. The Heat come down. Jimmy Butler has it on the wing, isoing Al Horford. And Jimmy, drives and, well, not drives, but he's behind the 3-point line, steps back. And they call the foul on Al Horford for swiping at the ball. Everyone was swiping at the ball the entire game. And it was a 3. And I was very surprised it was a 3-point. I was surprised Jimmy got his feet behind the free throw line, by the 3-point line. Call the foul, challenge, unsuccessful. Jimmy goes to the line, hits all 3. And now it is a 1-point lead with 3 seconds left, which is also a big thing. Because when Jimmy was at the free throw line, it was 2.1 seconds, but then they went back and switched it back to 3 seconds. Even though there's a lot of things that say maybe it should not have been 3 seconds. And, it matters because we know what happens next. Celtics inbound it. Marcus Smart. That was, if Derek White doesn't tip that in, and the Celtics lose that game, I looking at Marcus Smart. Because Marcus Smart, that was a very bad shot by Marcus Smart. Getting the ball and just throwing. He shot it like he had 0.9 on the clock. Like he had 3 seconds. And he grabbed it and just took a fadeaway, turnaround 3-pointer. Contested too with someone right in his face. And I was like, why did he take that shot? But everything happens for a reason. Because Marcus Smart takes that shot, misses, but then Derek White just swoops in. And that was a big thing the entire game. Offensive rebounds are very big for the Boston Celtics. Jaylen Brown had a lot of offensive rebounds. Derek White swoops in, tips it in, goes, look at the replay, literally 0.2 seconds away. Derek White tips it in, and the Celtics somehow, some way, win this game 104-103, and are now 1 win away from making history. And we're going back to Boston. Just an amazing, amazing game. Looking at the stats, the Celtics shot 44% of the field, while the Heat shot 35%. And this is a rare game where the Celtics did not shoot their way into a win. The Celtics only hit 7 threes in this game. 7 for 35, 20%, while Miami hit 14 for 30, 47%. The Celtics got to the free throw line 5 more times to hit a few more free throws. The Heat. I mean, looking at the statistics in this game, it looked like the Heat would win, even though the Heat got outshot from the field. This is one of those looked like one of those grit and grinding games. You know, the Celtics only hit 7 threes. The Heat forced 12 turnovers. They had 4 more assists. The rebounding was actually equal. The Heat actually had more offensive rebounds than the Celtics, which I was very surprised. 17 to 12, but they just couldn't box out. One box out. If they just would have boxed out if Max Strus would have just boxed out Derek White, the Heat would be in the finals. But then again, you look at it. If the ball goes the other way, Jason Tatum was right there too. All Miami needed to do was box out, and they're in the finals right now, man. Insane. For the Celtics, Jason Tatum, big game, 31, 12, and 5. He only scored 6 points in the second half. He shot 8 for 22, missed all 8 of his threes, but he was 15 for 15 for the free throw line. Yeah, I mean, elimination game Tatum, man. He makes plays for not only himself, but for everyone else. He was great. Jaylen Brown at 26 and 10 as well, even though he was in foul trouble. Found a way to stay on the court and play really well. Marcus Smart had an amazing game. 21 points, shot 7 for 15, hit 4 3-pointers. He was really good. Derek White, 11 and 6 assists, hit the game-winning shot. He also had 3 blocks in this game as well. And then Robert Williams off the bench, 10 and 7, just being a menace down there in the paint, getting rebounds, throwing it up off the glass. He was great in this game. And now the Boston Celtics are one win away from history. They're the 4th team ever in NBA history to force a Game 7 after being down 3-0. The first since the 2003 Portland Trailblazers did it against the Dallas Mavericks. But, of course, all 3 of those teams that did force Game 7 end up losing. But they're also going to be the first team down 3-0 to force a Game 7 that's at home. All 3 of those teams that forced the Game 7 down 3-0 were on the road for Game 7. Boston's going to be at home for Game 7. And they've just been, amazing the last 3 games. Defensively, they've really been locking in. They've been forcing a lot of turnovers, even though they didn't force a lot of turnovers today. They forced Jimmy and Bam to have very bad shooting games. Hitting big shots when they need to. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have really come into play after having a very on and off first 3 games. They've been consistent. And then getting help. In Game 4, they had help from everybody, really. Game 5, Derek White had a big game. Marcus Smart had a big game. And last night, Marcus Smart was the guy. Derek White with the tip in. Robert Williams gave him some really good minutes off the bench. Everything's really just been working for them. And even today, very surprising, without the 3-point shot going in, which the last 2 games, they've been dominating the 3-point line after Miami dominated them the first 2 games. Boston, this is a big win, even though they only hit 7 3-pointers. They still grinded this game out and got the win. And now they're going back home for Game 7, man. And for Miami, it's going to be very tough, man. Just up 3-0 and just losing 3 in a row and then going on the road with Boston having all the confidence in the world that they can win. It's going to be Miami's going to have to dig deep, honestly, I feel like, to win this game. I feel like all the signs are pointing to Boston winning this. It's very tough. You're up 3-0. You're 1 win away from the finals. You lose Game 4, and you're like, all right, we're still up 3-1. We're just going to go back to Boston. Lose that game, you're like, all right, that's all right, though. We're up 3-2. Going back to Miami, And then you lose on your home floor in Game 6. And now it's like, dang, you got to go back again to Boston in Game 7, where Boston has all the momentum right now. Jimmy and Bam have been struggling. And it's just like, man, very tough for Miami. Jimmy, 24, 11, and 8, but 5 for 21 from the field. He did hit 12 free throws, 2 3-pointers. But I don't know what happened to Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler in this game was not good until the last 2 minutes of this game. Jimmy, he just looked. The first half he was just being aggressive. He just wasn't really knocking down the regular shots we've seen him knock down. But in the second half, there was a lot of times where he just didn't look at the rim and passed it out of layups. And at that point, I was kind of worried. I was like, okay, what happened to Jimmy? We never seen Jimmy be that player where he just gets in his own head and stops taking shots. But he did that in the third quarter and early fourth quarter. Even like with 3 minutes left when they were down like 8 or 9, he was looking for Duncan Robinson to make a play. He was just standing on the top of the key like trying to pass the ball. He didn't really start shooting until the last few minutes where he was getting to the free throw line. I think if he takes those last 2 minutes of this game and transfers it to Game 7, the entirety of the game, Game 7, Jimmy Butler has to perform. If Jimmy Butler doesn't perform in Game 7, they lose. Simple as that. If Jimmy Butler comes out and has another game like this in Game 7, the Heat are losing the game. Jimmy has to be playoff. We talk about playoff Jimmy Butler, and playoff Jimmy Butler's been probably the most fun thing to see in this playoffs, and how he took down Miami. He played well against the Knicks. The first two games of this series, he hit big shots and closed out the game. But now he's fading away, and if Jimmy Butler fades away, Miami doesn't have anything to hold on to. So Jimmy needs to come out in Game 7 and be playoff Jimmy and give us a spectacular show. Because if he doesn't, the Heat lose. Bam as well. Bam, 11, 13, and 5 in this game. He shot 4 for 16. That's unacceptable. For Bam, 4 for 16, 25%. And he only took 4 free throws. At least if you're shooting like that, get to the free throw line. Only 4 free throws. Jimmy and Bam, the last 2 games have been pretty bad. Not what we've seen from Jimmy and Bam throughout the entire playoffs. Both of those guys need to show up in Game 7. Bam's got to make it easier. Got to play make for others. Defensively, he's got to be there. And he's just got to be aggressive, get to the free throw line. I think that's a big thing. Both these guys are very good at getting to the free throw line. And Jimmy and Bam need to really show up. But honestly, I can't really say anything else about the role players. The role players have been amazing for Miami. Caleb Martin, 21 and 15, 4 threes. He's been their best player in this conference finals, the most consistent player. Gabe Vincent came back on a bum ankle, had 15 points. He did take a lot of shots, but at least he was being aggressive. Duncan Robinson, 13 points at 3 threes. Max Strus even hit a couple threes in this game. You know, Kyle Lowry even had 8 points, even though he's been really struggling this entire series. The Heat role players can't say anything about. It's the stars right now. Jimmy and Bam, point them out and be like, hey, you two have to be better. Role players have done their job and more. The role players are the only reason you're in this game. If the role players didn't have the games they probably would have lost by 20. So Jimmy and Bam have to come out and be aggressive and beat Jimmy and Bam in Game 7. If they don't, they're gonna lose and they're gonna be on the wrong side of history. But Boston, man, I mean, all the momentum is in Boston's favor right now. I mean, they're all clicking on all cylinders. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have been playing great. Marcus Smart is getting into a rhythm. Derek White hitting big shots. Even guys like Robert Williams coming off the bench and Grant Williams and have confidence in them. Like, all the momentum is pointing to Boston's way. And shout out to them for even getting into a Game 7. But Charles Barkley said it to Jaylen Brown after the game, like, hey, you don't make history if you force a Game 7. If you don't win that 4th game, no one cares. All this was pointless, basically. You know, that was a great thing. You know, if they lose this Game 7, it's like, all right, you guys won the 3, but you still didn't make history. They got to come out and win Game 7. They got to come out with energy and keep playing the same way they have the first 3 games. But yeah, that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. We helps out a lot. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.